Just released a console and I played on the Xbox Series X. Slipstream is the Outrun-inspired, super scalar, retro racer you've been waiting for. Before we get into the review, I want to tell you about my friends over at ANDAR, makers of fine leather accessories that complement your Apple portfolio. The Mag wallet is compatible with all Apple MagSafe cases as well as their own. And my viewers can use my promo code FRY20 to save 20% at checkout. Okay, so my era of racing really starts with Gran Turismo on the original PlayStation. I mean, I had played racing games before, but this was the one I started to play a lot. Okay, let's rule out Mario Kart for a sec. But simulation racing with polygon graphics in a 3D environment is about as realistic as you can go. And if you've played the last couple of Forzas, you really don't see a whole lot of differences in the way the cars drive. That is to say, I think we have achieved realistic driving in video games. But arcade racers before Virtua Racing and Daytona USA relied on superscaling to push sprites to and from the background and work scrolling to give you a track. And I have longed for some of these experiences. And evidently I'm not the only enthusiast enamored with the retro style that gave a sensation of speed that you just can't get with the realistic driving scenarios of today. One-man dev team ANDAR, oh man, I probably mispronounced it, I'm so sorry, sent me a copy of Slipstream. And come on, you're sending me a game that has my first car as the hero car, like right on the splash screen, come on. Now in this retro-inspired game, yeah, there isn't a Nissan license, so we can't call it a Z32 300ZX Fairlady Z. I am a little annoyed that the front end got altered to look more like today's 400Z, and you can't get my Midnight Cobalt Green that I had. But there's a complement of other cars you can choose from, inspired by the hot models of the 90s, Acura NSX, 3000 GT. Now I said this isn't realistic, it's not combat either. This is drift and drift again. You never want to slam your brakes on these courses. Ranging from cityscapes to maybe beach, icy roads that don't necessarily have any ice physics, so you don't have to worry about slipping extra. Spent most of my time playing with the manual drifting, where you have to actually kick left-right with the brake and then thrust, and it took some practice. There's a learning curve of about 30 minutes. If you want to go with the automatic drifting, I think you'll be able to navigate this easier, as your car will power slide by simply going left or right with the analog stick. Your only chance to gain speed is to get behind the car in front of you so that you can draft them. You're in their slipstream, get it? Now suppose you mess any of this up, there is a rewind feature evocative of a VCR so that you can finesse your drifts. But it is limited so as not to be abused, and sometimes I find it better to take the flip and recover in the middle of the road. That's not to say that there isn't a challenge here. I have not won a single race in the maybe 3 hours I've played. Along the way, you will come across rivals inspired by pop culture. I recognize this guy from Initial D, right? He's got to deliver the tofu. Is that Bob Ross? Actually, I did win the cannonball run, but I failed to beat the final rival. Those characters, in conjunction with the colorful backdrops and scenery, as well as the synthwave-inspired soundtrack, are about as much flavor as you're going to get out of Slipstream. The various modes largely take you across the same courses. You don't really have to memorize the tracks, because now that we have pseudo 3D really worked out, I feel like you can actually see the turns coming. The Grand Prix gives you the option of tuning your car. You don't really have a shop. The graphics are minimal. It's more of a text-based tuning process, which I found disappointing for my inner gearhead. No online play in a racer from, is this considered 2018 or 2022? Normally a huge qualm, but you may have to look aside for the retro styling here. It's not like there's a community of Xbox Live online play superscalar racers to cast a shadow on Slipstream's missing multiplayer. There is available couch split screen, but such an indie title, as simple as it is also fascinating at the same time, showing us that modern hardware can excel with the same kind of tools that we tried to use in the 80s and 90s before going fully 3D. In recent years, I've seen a rise of full motion video games. It's great. That now we have high definition and 4K. We should have many more games like that, right? Well, now that we actually have the hardware to scale anything at 60 frames per second with the fidelity that we just didn't have back in the day, can't we get more games like Slipstream? At $10 budget titles, Slipstream offers large indie retro appeal. I would have liked to see more varied AI driving tactics out of the rivals, cartooning refinement, and audio tracks that would associate with the courses. But if you've made it this far in the review, I think you are going to want to check out Slipstream. I give it an 8.0 out of 10.
If you appreciate a YouTube channel that doesn't just pad out content to get to the 8-minute mark so that it can hammer you with ad breaks, then you should subscribe to my son's channel. You just got done watching it.